Kids are weird. Especially when they're in that wonky time frame of not quite teenager, but not quite prepubescent either. It seems like the moment puberty even steps its foot in the door, a kid will start to do really questionable things. Why do I bring this up, you may ask? Well, since I get to experience it both first and second hand, as an uncle, I thought I'd share some things. Hey, welcome to an OniVin video. I thought I'd share a couple stories or memories of things from when I was in that awkward stage of life. God, I feel old. Anyways, obviously I'll be changing names and won't be describing appearances or anything, just the quirky stuff that happened. Enjoy! Straight into the first memory, I suppose? I wouldn't call it a story. I remember when I was in primary school, I had a small friend group that consisted of roughly 4 people, including myself. Every time we played tag on the playground during a lunch, I got tired pretty fast. So instead of telling my friends when they were catching up to me that I needed a break, I was scared of sounding like a pussy, I guess. I instead keeled over onto the ground and started force coughing my goddamn lungs out. And for some reason, it worked every time, and I essentially successfully manipulated my friends into believing that I was running so hard from them that I kept almost dying. I have no idea what came across my mind when I used to do that, but I think it was the first sign that I would use fake illness and injury to get out of certain situations. My go-to was usually claiming my stomach or head hurt, and it was often used to get out of going to school. It sort of evolved over time into something a lot more deep-rooted and severe anxiety responses, but we're not here to talk about that. I just find it hilarious to picture in my mind some tall, dumb foreign kid suddenly falling to the ground and coughing up a storm to try and cheese his way out of getting tagged. Another story I've got is with one of a friend that we'll call P. She lived a few houses down from me at the time, and she was absolutely convinced I had a crush on this one random girl living on our street and kept bugging me about it. Me being me, I did not, in fact, like this kid that P thought I liked. Actually, I hated her guts because she was an absolute little shit to us, let alone roughly 3 or so years older. She kept whining and prodding and basically gaslit me into believing that I actually did like this girl. Like, imagine, a kid gaslighting another kid into believing he likes a girl who's mean to them? Like, what? But continuing on, P broke me down eventually, and made me write a little note to this girl about how I had a crush on her and we should go out. The funniest thing about it to me that I remember, I kept misspelling crush as trush multiple times in the note. It was so terrible and half-assed, but it was also incredibly annoying and embarrassing. The girl the note was meant for either never saw that I left it for her, or just didn't bother to respond in any way, because I never heard from her again. Weirdly enough, I never really saw her outside when I was outside after that either. Win-win, I guess. Maybe it was P's master plan all along. The last memory I'll share is kind of crazy. Now, when I was younger, I was sort of silently known as that one kid who was weirdly strong and tall for his age. Why does this matter? Shh, you'll see. So, P's cousin one day comes over to visit, so we all decide to take out this go-kart thing and take turns riding it around our street. Now, this cousin, we'll call him D, was a bit of a brat. When I say a bit, actually, I mean, holy shit, did this kid get any discipline or manners taught to him whatsoever level of brat. He, unsurprisingly, hogged the go-kart a lot. He was also not very careful with his driving. So, one thing led to another, and he sort of crashed into my dad's clean, unscratched BMW, making it not so clean and not so unscratched anymore. Looking back on it, it definitely wasn't too big of a deal since the damage was incredibly minuscule, but holy shit, my little child brain snapped. I went over to D, literally picked him up off the go-kart, and threw the kid across my front garden. I can genuinely say that in my lifetime, I've thrown a child. That to me is more insane than the fact that I was able to pick D up with my angry little hands and to throw him in the first place. A child throwing another child. The image is still very fresh in my mind. I honestly think I had an adrenaline rush. That's the only way I can explain this. I feel like I'm admitting to a crime. Is it a crime to throw a 10-year-old kid as a 10-year-old yourself? That's strange to think about. Anyway, I guess it just sort of shows that kids have almost no filter when it comes to their reactions, myself as a child included. When you start to grow up and learn about the world, you obviously realize that irrational and impulsive actions like throwing someone across a garden because they scratched your dad's car is very wrong. Before anyone yells at me as well, D was absolutely fine. It's not like a 10-year-old has enough strength to really hurt someone with a throw, even with an adrenaline rush. He did go bitch and cry to his mom though, but P backed me up surprisingly and just said I hit his shoulder or something of the sort instead. So not only did D get tossed that day, but his own mom, being so sick of his bratty behavior, didn't believe what he was saying. Well, I guess. I suppose that's why, when this kind of behavior is seen in an adult, they're called childish. It's literally what children do. They're not exactly smart enough to realize yet what they do is not great, but adults don't really have that excuse, unless they have a mental disorder or age regress. But even then, adults still have to learn to take responsibility and accountability for the shit that they do. I've met too many who prance around and do whatever they want, however they want, and when all the bad they've done comes to slap them in the face, they cry and play victim. I am definitely not talking about anyone in particular.
Oh shit, I'm in a YouTube video. Cool. I once did this kind of thing as a kid. There's definitely embarrassing videos of me on the platform somewhere on a channel that I don't remember the name of. But hi, here I am. I don't know, you can just call me the boyfriend, I guess. I can't promise I'll be as entertaining as Vin. He's kind of the guy that's good at all that stuff, and I just kind of exist, but I'll do my best. I just hope you enjoy, I guess. I was a weird kid. I'll say that much. I mean, I guess it comes with the territory when you're very mentally ill. But I guess I'll just get right into it. I'm not a fast runner, or at least I wasn't. When you're in primary school, for me the experience was the sporty kids were the cooler ones, all the ones that could, run fast and shit. I was not one of those kids, and it's not like I had like a reason to be so slow. I was a skinny and pretty healthy kid. I was just noticeably slow. And it got to a point where people noticed how slow I was when it came to sports and stuff like PE. And so I made up an excuse for it. I don't know what went through my head, I don't know what the logic was behind it. I don't even know if I thought it through well enough to think of what would happen if the teachers found out, or if that even makes sense, you know? But I figured, you know, I need a reason to excuse my inability to fucking run properly. So what was my excuse? I had surgery to put a metal plate thingy in my leg, and that's why I run slow. And bear in mind, like, I had no scars on my leg, nothing to even remotely have any reason for people to believe me, but kids are naive as fuck, so, you know, everyone believed it. I somehow got away with it, and I don't know why. I'm so glad it never got to the point of the teachers knowing, because, boy, that would have been embarrassing, but well, that's one weird lie I told, I guess. Then there was, like, the worst thing that happened when I was a kid. I don't remember all the context, but it was something about my dad breaking a toy of mine. I was like 6 or 7, and he didn't even do it intentionally, but what my dumb upset kid brain ended up doing was the next day at school when I was alone with my teacher, I told her about it, and I must have made it sound 10 times fucking worse than it actually was. I don't know what I said, but I must have made that man look like a wife-beating, Stella drinking skinhead, because the teacher actually ended up calling social services on my dad. He literally ended up like under close watch by like socials workers, and I think the police might have come around at one point. Luckily everything ended fine, but I almost got my dad arrested, or like worse. I think that what was even funnier though is the fact that the teacher I told, like, my dad told me every time we had a parents' evening he was there, she gave him the fucking devil eyes. And like, God, she hated him to like in a crazy extent. So my family look back at it and laugh now, but God, my poor family, my poor fucking family. But I think my segment in this video is getting too long. I'm kind of overstaying my welcome. So I'll roll off a few, and then we'll be done with me. So I'm from the north of England, and I used to lie about being born in London because I thought it would make me cooler. I'm a proud northerner. Southerners. The time my sister's friend got in the car and I said that she smelled like gravy. The time I said fuck and the school staff thought I said fuck and shouted at me. The time when I was told my granddad had prostate cancer and I said granddad has prostitute cancer. There's a few more, but I guess I'll save those for another time. Gotta leave space for a sequel, you know how it is. I'll hand you back to Vin. Bye.
Well, now you know a little bit more about me and the boyfriend. Or, well, how we were as kids. What I'm most interested in right now is what weird stories you may have from your childhood. Yes, you. I'm speaking to the camera? No, I'm talking directly to you, Amy. Sorry about that. Some kind of malfunction, I think. Anyway, yeah. I think it'd be really neat if any of you want to share any stories in the comments below. I love reading them. I'd also appreciate it if you subscribed and gave this video a little like as well. It helps out a bunch. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Oni out. Of course, he starts barking the moment I want to fucking record. Kids are weird. Especially when... Oh my god, I can't get... I'm fucking dyslexic. Kids are weird. Especially where I'm actually dyslexic! But continuing on... Continue...